Kawhi Leonard was drafted 15th overall in 2011 NBA draft, and it's crazy a player as accomplished as he is fell so low to the draft. So we're going to go ahead and look at the 14 players and where they are now that were drafted ahead of Kawhi Leonard. We'll start with a little backstory of Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard attended Canyon Spring High School in California before transferring to Martin Luther King High School. Leonard averaged 22.6 points, 13.1 rebounds, and 3 blocks a game, and was named California Mr. Basketball his senior year of high school, and led his team to a record of 30-3. Coming out of high school, Leonard was a 4-star recruit and ended up playing 2 years at San Diego University. As a sophomore, Kawhi Leonard averaged 15.7 points and 10 rebounds. So going into the draft, Leonard's draft comparisons were Luka Mute and Gerald Wallace, and it's safe to say that he just blown that expectations out of the water. Since Kawhi has been drafted, he's become a 2-time champ, a 2-time Finals MVP, a 5-time All-Star, a 3-time NBA All-First Team, a 2-time NBA All-Second Team, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he's recently named to the top 75 players of all time. So now getting into the 14 players drafted above Kawhi Leonard. Drafted number 1 was Kyrie Irving by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now Kyrie has had a career average of 23 points and 6 assists. He's a 1-time NBA championship in 2016, 7-time All-Star, and if you put Kyrie drama aside, he's one of the greatest basketball players that ever played the game. Kyrie is currently a member of the Brooklyn Nets. We'll see where he ends up this summer. He currently requested a trade out of Brooklyn, but it's looking like he might be staying in Brooklyn if they don't trade Kevin Durant. Now draft for the second pick, we have Derrick Williams by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now Derrick Williams averaged 8.9 points and 4 rebounds a game for his career. He bounced around 6 different teams, including the Timberwolves, Kings, Knicks, Cavaliers, Heat, and finally the Lakers in 2018. Since then, he has played for multiple international teams, and on his latest team being this team. I'm not going to pronounce this for you. You can figure it out for yourselves. Where he's averaging 10 points and 3 rebounds. His skill set kind of went away from the league as the league transitioned to more of a perimeter-oriented league. He was a small ball 4 that couldn't hit the 3 ball and wasn't like spectacular on defense. So he had kind of this, he was just undersized 4 who couldn't shoot the ball. So he got phased out of the league pretty quickly. Draft for the third pick, we have Enes Kanter, who now changed his name to Enes Freedom, and he was drafted by the Utah Jazz. Freedom career averages 11.2 points, 7.2 rebounds. Freedom has bounced around 5 different teams, including the Jazz, Thunder, Knicks, Blazers, and Celtics. Besides the name change, Freedom has had a relatively pretty average career. Despite playing for the Celtics in 2022, Freedom is currently sitting in free agency waiting for a call. Another thing with him, as the NBA changed into more of a perimeter-oriented league, he kind of got phased out, although he is a very terrific offensive rebounder, but his foot speed is so slow that he can't guard perimeter players on switches, so therefore he's pretty much unplayable on defense. He doesn't give you much in the offensive end, therefore he's not a very big game changer for you in this generation of basketball. Now drafted with the 4th pick, we have Tristan Thompson by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Thompson's career average is 9 points, 8.4 rebounds. His most notable accomplishment was 2016 championship Cavs, where he played spectacular defense on the on the Warriors and gave the Cavs a great rebounding spark. However, since the championship run with Cleveland, he has played for the Cavs, the Celtics, the Kings, Pacers, and lately the Bulls in 2022. Despite Thompson's recent struggles of finding NBA minutes and finding NBA teams, he always finds a way to win off the court. Drafted with the 5th pick, we have Jonas Valanciunas by the Toronto Raptors. Now, Valanciunas' career average is 13.4 points and 9.5 rebounds. Since he was drafted, he's been traded twice. He played for the Grizzlies 1 season. Now he's currently on the Pelicans and had his best season yet. He's a very impactful player for this Pelicans team this past year, and they took the first-seeded Phoenix Suns to 8 games. Valanciunas has slowly progressed his game to fit the modern NBA build. He's a big guy who can rebound, shoot threes, play a little defense, and has a nice inside game. He's a very typical starting center in today's league, and he's a very, very solid piece to have on any championship core. Draft for the 6th pick, we have Jan Vesely by the Washington Wizards. Vesely's career average is 3.6 points and 3.5 rebounds. Vesely only played 4 seasons in the NBA for the Wizards, and his last season was on the Nuggets. Not really much to say here. He's a pretty big bust in the NBA. Again, he's a European big that people thought they could turn into Dirk. Well, spoiler alert, he's not Dirk Nowitzki. But Vesely, however, has had a very successful career overseas. He recently signed a 3-year deal with FC Barcelona EuroLeague basketball team. Draft for the 7th pick, we have Bismack Biambo by the Sacramento Kings, then traded to the Charlotte Bobcats on draft night. Biambo's career average is 5.2 points and 6.1 rebounds. Biambo played for 4 NBA teams, including the Hornets, Orlando, Toronto, and recently signed with his Phoenix Suns. Biambo's always been a great locker room guy. He's a very good guy to have on your basketball team. He brings great principle and great pride to his game. Actually, this year, when he signed a vet minimum with the Suns, he's donating all of his salary earnings from this contract to his home country to help build hospitals. So he's just a great dude to have around. Drafted with the 8th pick was Brandon Knight by the Detroit Pistons. Now, Knight careers averages of 14 points and 4 assists. Knight had a very strong start to his career. However, injuries, riddled his career, and pretty much he's unplayable at this point because he was a very quick, small, explosive guard. And when you have major knee injuries and Achilles injuries, it can, take that away from you. So as a small guard, you need to have explosiveness. And if you have injuries that take away that explosiveness, well, your offensive game is not really there. And because he was undersized, he never gave you anything on defense. So if he gives you nothing on offense, nothing on defense, you can't play him. He's played for 6 NBA teams: the Pistons, the Bucks, the Suns, the Cavs, and the Mavericks. He signed with the Mavericks. I think he did 2 10-days with them this year because of the whole COVID protocol thing. But that's really all that we've seen from him in the past couple years. And right now he's currently sitting in free agency, hoping to get a roster spot call for the 2023 NBA season. After the 9th pick was Kemba Walker by the Charlotte Hornets. Walker's career average is 19.5 points and 5 assists. Walker's been a 4-time All-Star, 3 times for the Hornets and 1 time for the Celtics. Walker's best year in 2018-2019 when he averaged 26 points per game. But shortly after signing with Boston, he started to get a lot of lower leg injuries, and similar to Brandon Knight, that when a small explosive guard gets lower leg injuries, takes away their explosiveness, their offensive game really shrinks down to nothing. And since he's undersized, he can't really provide you much on the defensive end. It's very similar to Brandon Knight, but he did it at a very higher volume. So Kemba is currently on the Detroit Pistons roster after being traded by the Knicks on a salary dump, and Detroit has plans on waiving him. So he's working out a deal with Detroit right now. So I expect by the start of the season, he will be in free agency, waiting for a team to pick him up who needs to fill a roster spot. I do believe he will be signed by a team. He can give you a little bit of offensive spark, but you're not going to invest a whole lot of playing time and a whole lot of money into him at this point in his career. So hopefully he finds a team soon. Drafted by the 10th pick, Jimmer Fredette by the Bucks, and then traded to Sacramento on draft night. Now, Jimmer's career average is 6 points on 37% on 3, shooting at a very high volume. But his career stats don't matter because we all love Jimmer Fredette. Jimmer's always been a fan favorite of the NBA. He really pushed the boundaries on 3-point shooting. I mean, he was pulling back 4 or 5 feet behind the line. He had Jimmer range in him before Steph Curry really expanded the game to the 3-point volume that it is today. But Jimmer's bounced around the league playing for the Kings, the Bulls, the Pelicans, the Knicks, and the Suns. Fredette is now a star in the Chinese Basketball League and putting up crazy numbers, and he has no plan to return to the NBA full-time because he's a superstar out there and he liked being like he's one of the best players in China. Jimmer Fredette has made himself a great career, just not in the NBA. Now, drafted the 11th pick by the Golden State Warriors, we have Klay Thompson. Now, Klay Thompson's career average is 19.5 points on 38.5% from 3-point on high volume. We all know Klay Thompson, 5-time NBA All-Star, 4-time champ, 1-time 3-point contest winner, and we all know he got snubbed from the top 75 for some dudes that played in the 40 that shot the ball with 2 hands. We don't get into that. Klay Thompson deserves a top 75 spot, no questions asked, and he's also a terrific defensive player. He's had 2 really major injuries with the ACL and the Achilles back-to-back, but he recently played in this past year's finals, had great numbers, gave him a lot of energy, and is looking like going to be a very solid player for the Warriors this upcoming year. I don't know if he's going to get back to the All-Star Klay Thompson we saw, but I would not put it past him. The dude's a very hard worker, and he can shoot the lights out. Drafted with the 12th pick was Alex Burke by the Utah Jazz. Now, his career average is 10.6 points, shooting 38% from 3. Burke started off his career by playing his first 8 seasons for the Utah Jazz. Since then, he's been a journeyman playing for the Cavs, Kings, Warriors, 76ers, and recently the New York Knicks. And he will start the 2023 NBA season on the Detroit Pistons via that New York trade they did with Kemba Walker. Drafted the 13th pick was Markieff Morris by the Phoenix Suns. His career averages were 11 points and 5 rebounds. Markieff has played for multiple teams, including the Suns, Wizards, Thunder, Pistons, Lakers, and the Heat. And he's most recognized for getting his back blown out by Nikola Jokic early on in the 2021-2022 NBA season. However, Markieff Morris has draft rights over his brother because he was drafted 1 spot ahead of his brother in this draft. Now, moving on to the 14th pick was Marcus Morris by the Houston Rockets. If you haven't picked it up already, Markieff and Marcus are twins. His career averages 12.4 points and 4.6 rebounds. Marcus has also played for several teams, including the Rockets, the Suns, the Pistons, the Celtics, Knicks, and Clippers. Marcus has become a terrific shot making and shot creator, and is going to be a very valuable piece for this Clippers team in the upcoming season. Finally, with the 15th pick, we have the Indiana Pacers drafting Kawhi Leonard and then traded for George Hill on draft night to the San Antonio Spurs. If Indiana didn't make that trade, they could have paired Kawhi Leonard with Paul George way early on in their career, just like they are in Los Angeles right now. So that wraps up this video. That was the 14 players drafted ahead of Kawhi Leonard. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.